Okay, so this is the daf for April 7th, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 111. It says, what is the meaning of the term Amen? Rabbi Hanina says it is an acronym of the words El Melech Ne'eman, God, faithful king. And this is what we say in our prayers. If you're praying without a minyan, you say this before you say the Shema, as well as some other places. But it says, with regard to the verse, therefore the netherworld has enlarged itself and opened its mouth without measure. Livli Hok, Isaiah 5:14. Reish Lakish says it is referring to one who leaves even one statute, or Hok, like Hokim, so Hok, unfulfilled. The netherworld expands for him. Rabbi Yochanan says it is not satisfactory to God, their master, that you said this about them, as according to Reish Lakish's opinion, most of the Jewish people would be doomed to Gehenna. Rather, even if one learned only one statute, one chok, he has a share in the world to come. And Livli chok means one who has learned no statutes at all. So with regard to that which is stated, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, says the Lord, two parts shall be excised and die, but the third shall remain in it. Zechariah 13:8. Reish Lakish says the third means that only 1/3 of the descendants of Shem, son of Noah, will remain, and everyone else will die. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, it is not satisfactory to God, their master, that you said this about them, that the overwhelming majority of the world will be destroyed. Rather, even as many as 1/3 of the descendants of Noah, 1/3 of the population of the world will remain. With regard to the verse, for I have taken you to myself, and I will take out one of a city and two of a family, Jeremiah 3:14. Reish Lakish says, the meaning of this statement is, as it is written, that only individuals will be spared and the rest will be destroyed. Rabbi Yochanan said to him, it is not satisfactory to their master, meaning God, that you said this about them. Rather, the merit of one of the city causes the entire city to benefit, and the merit of two from a family causes the entire family to benefit and be redeemed. Likewise, the Gemara relates that Rav Kahana sat before Rav and sat and said, the meaning of this statement is as it is written. Rav said to him, it is not satisfactory to their master, meaning God, that you said this about them. Rather, the merit of one from the city caused the entire city to benefit, and the merit of two from a family caused the entire family to benefit and be redeemed. The Gemara relates that Rav saw that Rav Kahana was washing the hair on his head, and then arose and sat before Rav. Rav said to Rav Kahana, nor shall it be, quote, nor shall it be in the land of the living, Job 28:13. Rav Kahana thought that Rav addressed that verse to him, and he said to Rav, are you cursing me? Rav said to him, it is a verse that I am saying to remind you that Torah will not be found in one who sustains himself in an indulgent manner in its study. Rather, Torah is acquired through suffering and difficulty. It is taught in Braita with regard to the few that are destined to be redeemed. Rav Simai says that it is stated, and I will take you to me as a people, Exodus 6, verse 7. And juxtaposed to that verse, it is stated, and I will bring you to the land, Exodus 6, 8. The Torah compares their exodus from Egypt to their entry into the land, just as during their entry into the land, only 2 of 600,000 entered the land, as they all died in the wilderness except for Caleb and Joshua. So too, during their exodus from Egypt, in terms of the ratio, only 2 of 600,000 left Egypt, and the rest died there. Meaning two men of 600,000, not 200,000 of 600,000. Okay, so Rava said, and likewise that will be situation in the Messianic era, as it is stated, quote, and she shall respond there as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. Hosea 2:17. The ultimate redemption and the exodus from Egypt are juxtaposed, indicating that in the Messianic era, too, only few will survive. It just makes me think of the Holocaust, too, because of the few will survive, and the idea that a lot of people were destroyed, and right after the Holocaust was the foundation of the state of Israel. And another thing, most people don't know this, but the Daf Yomi schedule that we follow, it actually started, it was instituted right before the Holocaust. I think the first Siyum Hashas, So Daf Yomi, they passed through the entire Talmud, the entire Shas. It was, I think they finished it a few years before the Holocaust started. So it just makes me think that, that statement just... Anyway, continuing, few will survive. It is taught in Baraita that Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Yoshi, says, "One time I entered Alexandria of Egypt. I found one old man, and he said to me, 'Come and I will show you what my ancestors,' meaning the Egyptians, 'did to your ancestors, the Jewish people. Some of them drowned in the sea, some of them they killed with the sword, and some of them they crushed in the buildings," meaning they made them into bricks and stuff like that. "And it is over this matter Moshe protested the affliction suffered by the Jewish people, that Moses our teacher was punished, as it is stated, 'For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all.'" Exodus 5:23. So Moses was complaining to God. The Holy One, blessed be he, said to Moses, "Woe over those who are gone and are no longer found, as several times I revealed myself to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov as El Shaddai, or the God the Almighty. And they did not question my attributes and did not say to me, 'What is your name?' I said to Abraham, 'Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for unto you I will give it.'" Genesis 13:17. Ultimately, he sought a place to bury Sarah and did not find one until he purchased it for 400 silver shekels. And he did not question my attributes and did not protest that I failed to fulfill my promise to him concerning the land. I said to Isaac, "Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and I will bless you." Genesis 26, verse 3. His servants sought water to drink, and they did not find it until they started a quarrel, as it is stated. And the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, "The water is ours." Genesis 26:20. And he did not question my attributes. I said to Jacob, "The land upon which you lie, to you I will give it." Genesis 28:13. He sought a place to pitch his tent, and he did not find one until he purchased it for 100 coins, and he did not question my attributes and did not say to me, "What is your name?" And you, Moses, asked me, "What is your name?" initially after witnessing my greatness more than they ever did. And now you say to me, "Neither have you delivered your people." Exodus 5:23. The verse then states, "Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh." Exodus 6:1. You can infer the war with Pharaoh and his downfall you shall see, but you will not see the war with the 31 kings in Eretz Israel, as you will not be privileged to conquer Eretz Israel for the Jewish people. With regard to the verse, quote, "And the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, compassionate, gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in loving kindness and truth, extending loving kindness to thousands and generations." So the 13 attributes. "And Moses made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and prostrated himself." Exodus 34, 6-7. The Gemara asks, what prostrated himself? Missed the line. What did Moses see in these attributes that caused him to hastily prostrate himself? Rabbi Hanina ben Gamla says, he saw the attribute of slow to anger, Erech Apayim. And the rabbis say he saw the attribute of truth, Emet. It is taught in Baraita in accordance with the opinion of the one who said he saw the attribute of Erech Apayim, slow to anger, and it is taught in a Baraita. When Moses ascended on high, he discovered the Holy One, blessed be he, sitting and writing, slow to anger, or Erech Apayim. Moses said before him, "Master of the universe, is your attribute of slow to anger only to be used for the righteous?" God said to him, "It is an attribute even for the wicked." Moses said to him, "Let the wicked be doomed." God said to him, "Now you will see that you will need this, as ultimately you will reconsider that statement." When the Jewish people sinned in the sin of the spies, and Moses asked God to forgive them, the Holy One, blessed be he, said to him, "Didn't you say to me that the attribute of slow to anger is for the righteous alone? They are not worthy of atonement." Moses said before him, "Master of the universe, and isn't it what you said to me? It is an attribute even for the wicked, and that is the meaning of that which is written, quote, 'And now I pray you, let the power of my Lord be great as you have spoken,' saying." Numbers 14:17. Moses was repeating God's promise with regard to his employment of the attribute of slow to anger, Erech Apayim. The Gemara relates, Rabbi Haga was walking up the stairs in the school of Rabbi Bar Shela. He heard a certain child who said, quote, "Your testimonies are very sure. Sanctity becomes your house, Lord, for the length of days." Psalms 93, verse 5. The phrase length of days is a reference to the attribute of slow to anger, and juxtaposed to it is the phrase, quote, "a prayer of Moses." Psalms 90, verse 1. Indicating that this chapter was also stated by Moses, our teacher. Upon hearing those verses, Rabbi Haga said, "Conclude from it that it was the attribute of slow to anger that Moses saw," or Erech Apayim. Rabbi Elazar says that Rabbi Hanina says, "The Holy One, blessed be He, is destined to be a crown on the head of each and every righteous person, as it is stated, quote, 'In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the remnant of His people.'" Reminds me of tefillin, right? So Isaiah 28, verse 5. What is the meaning of the phrase, "for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty"? It means a crown for those who perform His will and a diadem for those who wait His salvation. One might have thought that this extends to everyone in those categories. Therefore, the verse states, "unto the remnant of His people," meaning that God will be a crown and a diadem to one who humbly establishes himself like a remnant and does not conduct himself with self-importance. The Gemara interprets a verse in Isaiah, quote, "And for a spirit of justice to him that sits in judgment, and for strength to them who retaliate in battle to the gate." Isaiah 28, verse 6. And for a spirit of justice, this is referring to one who subdues his evil inclination and prevents himself from sinning. Quote, "To him that sits in judgment," this is referring to one who judges a true judgment truthfully. And for strength, this is referring to one who overcomes his evil inclination. Them who retaliate in battle, this is referring to one who gives and takes and engages in the battle, that is, in the discourse of Torah. Quote, "To the gate" is referring to those Torah scholars who arrive early and remain late within the gates of the synagogues and study halls. The attribute of justice has said before the Holy One, and that's the Midat Hadin, the attribute of justice. "Blessed be He, Master of the universe. How do these people who possess these qualities differ from those who engage in Torah study but lack these qualities?" God said to the attribute of justice that those others do not receive the crown and diadem because, quote, "these also reel through wine and stagger through strong drink. They stumble or paku in judgment." Pililiyah, Isaiah 28, verse 7. In Puka, the other word was paku. This is in Puka, in this context, is referring to nothing other than Gehenna, as it is stated, that this shall not be a cause of stumbling or Puka for you. 1 Samuel 25:31. And the term Pelila in the verse in Isaiah is referring to nothing other than judges, as it is stated, quote, "And he shall pay as the judges biflilim determine." So as the judges determine. Exodus 21:22, and the word there for judges is biflilim. Those who lack the qualities listed in the previous verses are not worthy of the aforementioned reward. And here we're back at the Mishnah, and the Mishnah says, "The residents of an idolatrous city have no share in the world to come, as it is stated. Certain men, wicked persons, are gone out from your midst and have subverted the inhabitants of their city, saying, 'Let us go and let us worship other gods.'" Deuteronomy 13:14. And idol worshippers are not executed as residents of an idolatrous city unless it subverts those from that city and from that tribe, and unless most of the inhabitants of the city are subverted, and unless men subvert the inhabitants of the city, for if it occurs that women or children subvert the inhabitants of the city, or that a minor of the inhabitants of the city were subverted, or that its subverters were from outside the city and were neither residents of that city nor members of that tribe, these idol worshippers are judged as individuals. And to judge the inhabitants of a city, one requires 2 witnesses and forewarning for each and every one who engaged in idol worship. This is a stringency with regard to individuals who worship idols that is more stringent than the halakha with regard to multitudes who worship idols. As the individuals who worship idols are executed by stoning, therefore, since there is a stringency with regard to the mode of execution, their property is spared and is inherited by their heirs. And the multitudes are executed by the sword. Therefore, since there is a leniency with regard to the mode of execution, their property is eliminated. Okay, from that verse, "You shall smite the inhabitants of the city with the edge of the sword." It is derived that the caravan of donkeys and the caravan of camels that come from place to place, These donkey or camel drivers saved the city, and if they were residing in the city for a period, they could join the minority of permanent residents who were not subverted to idol worship in order to create a majority and prevent the destruction of the city and its contents. Okay, it is stated, quote, destroy it utterly, and all that is in it, and its animals with the edge of the sword. Deuteronomy 13:16. From here, the sages stated, the property of the righteous who did not engage in idol worship that is inside the city is destroyed with the rest of the city and its contents, but the property of the righteous that is outside the city is spared. And the property of the wicked, whether it is inside the city or whether it's outside the city, these items are destroyed. It is stated, quote, and you shall gather all of its spoil into the midst of its square. Deuteronomy 13:17. If the city has no square, one creates a square for the city in order to fulfill the mitzvah as it is written. Quote, if there was a square outside of the city, they bring it inside the city by expanding the city wall to include the square. It is stated in the continuation of the verse, quote, and you shall burn it with fire, both the city and all its spoils, entirely for the Lord your God. This Mishnah infers, quote, its spoils, but not the spoils of heaven. From here, the sages stated, the consecrated property in it, which was no longer the property of its inhabitants, must be redeemed, and terumot are neither eaten nor burned, rather they must be left to decay. The second tithe and sacred scrolls that were in the city must be interred. With regard to the phrase entirely, Khalil, for the Lord your God, Rabbi Shimon says, the Holy One, blessed be he, says, if you implement judgment on an idolatrous city, I ascribe you credit as though you have sacrificed an entirely Khalil, burnt offering before me. It is written, quote, and it shall be a heap it shall be a heap forever, Deuteronomy 13:17, meaning the idolatrous city shall not be converted even into gardens or orchards. This is a statement of Rabbi Yoshi HaGalili. Rabbi Akiva says, from the end of that verse, quote, it shall not be built again, it is derived to restore it to the way it was before destruction. It may not be built, but it may be converted into gardens and orchards. The next verse states, and there shall cleave nothing of that which was devoted to your hand, Deuteronomy 13:18. This teaches that as long as the wicked exist in the world, there is wrath in the world. Once the wicked are eliminated from the world, wrath leaves the world. Now we're back to the Gemara. The sages taught, in interpretation of the verse, certain men, wicked persons, are gone out from your midst and have subverted the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and let us worship other gods that you have not known. Deuteronomy 13:14. From the term are gone out, it is derived that these halachot apply only if they, the subverters, themselves subverted the residents, but not agents whom they designated to subvert. From the term men, it is derived that men in the plural means no less than two. Alternatively, it is derived men but not women, men but not children. The phrase wicked persons is an abbreviation of, B'nai V'li Ya'al is an abbreviation of Banim V'li Ol, meaning sons who have cast off the yoke of heaven from their necks. From the term from your midst, it is derived that these halachot apply only to a city located in the center of the country, but not to a city located on the border. From the phrase inhabitants of their city, it is inferred, but not inhabitants of another city. The term saying alludes to the halacha that in order to convict them, one requires witnesses and forewarning for each and every one who worshipped idols. It was stated that there is an Amoraic dispute, so a dispute in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan says, one divides one city into tribal territory of two tribes, and Reish Lakish says, one does not divide one city into tribal territory of two tribes. Rabbi Yochanan raises an objection to the opinion of Reish Lakish from the Mishnah, which states, unless its subverters are from that city and from that tribe, what is it not that although its subverters are from that city, if they are from that tribe, yes, they render the city an idolatrous city, and if not, no, they do not render the city an idolatrous city. Conclude from it, one divides one city into the tribal territory of two tribes, as otherwise, by definition, a resident of that city is a member of that tribe. And so from what is stated in this dispute here, so we learned earlier that Jerusalem can't be considered an idolatrous city even if this stuff happens within it. And the reason it seems to be from this statement here is because Jerusalem was actually a tribal, it's considered everybody's city. So even though it was more or less on the shared between all the tribes, so it's almost like an exemption. And it seems like a loophole, but in some contexts it's necessary. And as you can see from history, it had to be that way. But anyway, the Gemara rejects that proof. No, even if a city is not divided between two tribes, the scenario in the Mishnah is possible in a case where the property in the city fell to him as an inheritance from a family of his mother who was from a different tribe. Alternatively, it is possible in a case where they gave him that property as a gift. Rabbi Yochanan raised an objection to the opinion of Reish Lakish from a verse written with regard to the cities designated for the Levites. 9 cities from those two tribes, Joshua 21:16. What is it not that those 9 cities were equally divided, 4.5 from this tribe and 4.5 from that tribe, and conclude from it that one divides one city into the tribal territory of 2 tribes? The Gemara rejects that proof. No, those 9 cities were divided in this manner: 4 cities from this tribe and 5 cities from that tribe. The Gemara asks, if so, let the verse state explicitly from which tribe the additional city was taken. And that's the end of 111. Thanks for watching.